Hello. Can people hear well everywhere? Because we can't hear that well over there. Yeah, is it all right? The title of my speech today is called I Am Atheist, Hear Me Roar. Because I want to talk to you a little bit about my movement into feminism and then, to me, the logical move to atheism. So to share with you a little bit of what it was like to grow up in Hillsong, I'd like you all to turn to your Bibles to the book of Timothy. You're a gorgeous-looking audience. That's what Brian Houston would say. Gee, you're a good-looking congregation. Sue Ann's right. This stuff really works. Okay, 1 Timothy says, I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man. She must be silent. Women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home, for it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in the church. So perhaps you can understand a little bit of why I'm so excited to be on this panel this afternoon. Amongst this company, as an atheist feminist and as a feminist atheist. It's a privilege to be here in the company of such incredibly accomplished women on this panel, and in a room of such brilliant minds, or as I like to think of it, finally getting to hang out with the grown-ups. My youth was misspent in a small Pentecostal church in the western suburbs of Sydney called the Hills Christian Life Centre. The church that I grew up in became Hillsong, that some of you may have heard of today, which now has franchises in London, Paris, Kiev, Stockholm and Cape Town. But when I joined at age 14, the church was only 300 people strong, and the pastors that run the mega thousands mega church were just a simple New Zealand couple. But some things in Christianity, as you find out, never change. The gender roles are clear and divided in Hillsong and always have been. Whatever rhetoric that they bandy about, ultimately a woman is to be a good wife in hope to atone for Eve's sin. Women, the Bible say, really are a lot of trouble, but they will be saved through childbearing. Apart from that, they're supposed to submit and serve, because after all, they are the inferior sex. Growing up, our role models were pastors' wives, and who wouldn't want to be one of them? Our goal as young women was to be pure and marriageable. After marriage, our goal was to be pure, fruitful, and like Eve, a helper and a companion. So the first time I was offered a feminist text, the conversion to feminism did not take long. We had sat in youth group for year after year listening to how free we were. Free to avoid hell by being obedient, free to always be pure and marriageable, or free to leave. Once I found out that other people thought that there were other lives that women could actually lead, I took the option to leave. I find it amazing that feminists are branded as man-haters and that atheists are branded as God-haters, because that seems to be the best that people can come up with. Outside of religious indoctrination, I think it's pretty obvious where injustices lie in our world. But you drop God into that equation, and illogical superstition and injustice are justifiable and worth going to war for. Feminists are witches who clearly don't have any good spells, because otherwise we would have actually just stopped all the rape and the sex slavery and domestic violence. So feminists are ineffective witches, but when Christians chant and pray and rock and sing until they get what they want, it's called being faithful. And atheists are fools, because Psalm 1 tells us that the fool has said in his heart that there is no God. Now that's ironic, isn't it? Atheists are fools, but people who believe that they possess the only truth on earth and talk to the earth's creator, they're the wise ones. I probably couldn't have become an atheist if I hadn't learnt so much from feminism. To see the way power is wielded and abused, to stop pretending that these things can't or won't be changed, and to take a stand against stupidity and selfishness and cruelty to the vulnerable. Feminism and atheism have so much to gain from each other, apart from their perceived anger management problems. But to me, the carefully considered logic, the demand for critical thinking, and the brutal, naked truth that both isms make us look at provide more liberation and more of a challenge than any baptism of fire in the church. That Jesus' character was right. The truth will set you free. There's an old feminist cartoon from when I was back at uni where a little boy says to a little girl, "You're just a feminist because you're ugly." And the little girl says, "No, I'm a feminist because you're a boy." Feminism exists because there is a system that allows and encourages one group of people to have most of the power and the other group to have what's left over. It exists for no other reason than to say, did anybody else notice that the way they tell the story is not the way I saw the whole thing happen? Did you guys see that even though we both played the same game, it's impossible for one group to win? Atheism exists along very similar lines. We're tired of appeasing religious delusions of grandeur. We refuse to sit up the back of the bus and stay quiet. We know that in a Christian country, democracy is a Christian word. We're sick of religion being praised and propped when it perpetuates the same hatred, the same violence, and the same poverty that it always has. One of the themes that I get from readers repeatedly is their disappointment that I'm no longer a Christian. They tell me I'm bitter and I'm angry with God, and that if I would just let go of all this hurt, I could really get to know God this time, and I would be so much happier. Now, I find these letters, of course, greatly amusing, but very frustrating as well. It's sort of like, you're only an atheist because you hate God. No, I'm only an atheist because you keep on being a Christian. Now, a few of you may know that this weekend there's actually another conference being run in Sydney by a very large organisation called Hillsong. It's called Colour Your World, and it's a women's conference. And it will be attended by thousands of women from all over the world. And I'm not lying when I tell you this is how it's been advertised. Imagine cupcakes and sugar, chocolate and laughter. Imagine a setting where you confidently know that others you bring will be blessed and embraced, welcomed and loved. It's always been about placing value upon womanhood. Wow. So that she in turn can place value upon others. It's always been uncomplicated, everyday girls from everyday worlds, living their lives, leaving their mark, responding to the God whispers, following the sound. And I think I know which conference I'd rather be at this afternoon.